Today, we're diving deep into the top 5 rarest and most valuable UK Elizabeth coins ever found in circulation, from shocking minting errors to ultra-rare editions that collectors would pay thousands even millions of pounds, for you won't believe what could be hiding in your wallet right now, so grab your coins. Yes, you heard that right, one small 1982 UK Elizabeth 20 pence coin, the kind you might have used to buy sweets or slipped into a parking meter, could actually be worth a life-changing fortune. So make sure you stick around to the end of this video, because we're about to uncover the mysterious story of how a tiny minting error created one of the most sought-after coins in British history, and how one could still be hiding in your change, waiting to make you rich. The background. Let's rewind to 1982, a remarkable year in British coinage. For decades, the UK had no coin between 10 pence and 50 pence. That gap made everyday transactions awkward, so the Royal Mint decided to create a new coin, a 20 pence piece. This coin was revolutionary at the time. Made from cupro nickel, with its signature 7-sided heptagonal shape, the new 20p was lightweight, distinctive, and designed to stand out. Why the 1982 20p error is so special. The Royal Mint struck millions of 20p coins in 1982. But only a tiny handful of error coins ever escaped the mint, possibly fewer than 20 examples in total. Some experts even suggest that only a few known authentic specimens exist, each one slightly different, some showing minor off-center strikes, others displaying the wrong reverse. Think about it, the 1982 20p was the first ever year of this denomination, marking a major moment in UK monetary history. Combine that with a minting error, and you have a coin that's truly one of a kind. It's the perfect storm of rarity, history, and human mistake, a trifecta that makes collectors. Auction sales, price and values. Now let's talk about the part that truly stuns people, the value. An ordinary 1982 20p coin, in normal condition, might be worth about £1 to £2 to a casual collector, but the rare 1982 error coins, that's where things get jaw-dropping. When the first confirmed 1982 error 20p coins appeared at auction in the early 2000s, they sold for hundreds of pounds. A few years later, those same coins were commanding £5,000 to £10,000 in private sales by the mid-2010s, as collectors worldwide began to appreciate how unbelievably rare the 1982 mule and double strike coins were. Prices skyrocketed, with some fetching over £20,000 to £50,000 depending on condition, and experts now say that if a flawless, mint condition 1982 mule 20p coin, authenticated and graded by a top certification body like NGC or PCGS, were to appear at auction today, it could easily fetch £40,000 to £50,000 or more. How to identify the rare 1982 error 20p? Now here's the big question you've all been waiting for. How can you tell if you've got one of these rare coins? Here's what you need to look for carefully: or unusual spacing. A true mule error might even show design elements from another denomination, like a partial 10p reverse weight. Normal weight, 5 grams. Error coins may weigh slightly more or less due to misstriking or wrong planchets. We're uncovering the mysterious story of the 1983 UK Elizabeth £1 coin, how it happened, why it's so incredibly rare, and what makes some of them sell for unbelievable prices, from hundreds to thousands, and even into the millions of pounds. This is not just a coin, it's a mistake that became a legend. The background. Let's rewind to 1983, a year of big change for Britain's coinage. For centuries, the £1 note had been part of everyday life. But inflation, wear and tear, and a push for modernization led to the idea of replacing the paper pound with something more durable, a metal coin. That's when the Royal Mint introduced the brand new £1 coin, featuring Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, designed by the talented artist Arnold Machin. Auction sales, price and value. Now here's where things get really exciting. The value. A normal 1983 £1 coin might be worth just £1 in your pocket, but one of these rare error coins, they've sold for absolutely mind-blowing prices. In the early 2000s, collectors were paying £500 to £1,000 for examples in average circulated condition. By the 2010s, that figure had exploded, £5,000 to £10,000 for well-preserved coins. But that was just the beginning. When verified, high-grade examples surfaced at major auctions, the hammer prices went through the roof: £50,000, £60,000, and in some cases, private sales reportedly reaching over £80,000. Some experts and collectors even suggest that, given its rarity, historical importance, and collector demand, the 1983 new pence mule pound coin could someday sell for over £1 million. How to identify the rare error coin? Alright, now that we've seen how valuable this coin can be, here's the most important part: how to spot one. If you're lucky enough to come across a 1983 £1 coin, here's what to look for. Obverse front. The familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. The inscription reads Elizabeth II DG Reg. FD 1983. Reverse back. Here's where the magic and the mistake happens. Instead of showing the royal arms, the reverse might feature the wording New Pence, which belongs to the 2 pence design. Edge lettering. Regular 1983 £1 coins have the edge inscription Dec et to tame in Latin for an ornament and a safeguard. The error coin's edge lettering may vary slightly in depth and spacing, another sign of misstriking. Metal and weight. Normal nickel brass, 9.5 G, 22.5 mm diameter. Error the same specifications, but the reverse design is completely wrong. If you find one like this, handle it with care. Do not clean it and get it professionally authenticated. Because if it's real, you might be holding a 6-figure treasure. This is the 1971 era UK Elizabeth II New Pence coin, one of the most mysterious and sought-after British coins ever struck. Collectors around the world have been obsessed with finding these elusive 1971 mint errors, and when one appears, the bidding wars go absolutely wild. So grab a cup of tea, sit back, and stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to spot a 1971 error coin that could be worth a fortune. The background. Before we dive into the errors, let's go back to 1971, the year that changed British coinage forever. On February 15, 1971, known as Decimal Day, the United Kingdom made one of the biggest financial transitions in its history. It was made from bronze, weighed 7.12 grams, and had a diameter of 25.9 millimeters. The obverse showed Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin, with her portrait facing right, wearing the famous The most valuable errors and varieties, double die obverse DDO. £1,000 to £2,000. Off-center strike error. £1,000 to £5,000. Die clash error. £2,000 to £10,000. Wrong planchet error. £10,000 to £50,000. How to identify a genuine 1971 error coin. Check for doubling. Look closely at the words New Pence, the date 1971, and the Queen's profile. Doubling or blurry outlines may indicate a double die strike, a strong sign of value. Examine the metal color. The 1971 coin should be bronze. If yours looks silvery, grayish, or oddly toned, it could be struck on a wrong planchet, and that means serious money. Look for misaligned dies. A coin with slightly overlapping obverse and reverse designs could be a die rotation error, another collectible trait. Weight and size. Authentic 1971 coins weigh 7.12 grams. A deviation might mean a planchet error, a potentially massive find. If you find anything unusual, don't clean it or alter it. Get it professionally verified by a grading service like NGC or PCGS, as even a small mistake in preservation can dramatically reduce its value. Record-breaking sales and collectors. You might be wondering, how much have these coins actually sold for? Let's take a look at some jaw-dropping examples from the collector market. Double strike error once sold for over £2,500 at auction in 2021. Off-center strike example brought in nearly £5,000 after fierce bidding between British collectors. A wrong planchet 2 New Pence, verified by NGC, sold in the United States for £22,000 equivalent, proving that UK decimal errors are hot commodities worldwide. And theoretical unique transitional pieces, should they ever surface, could be worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions, much like the U.S. 1943 bronze penny or the 1933 British penny, both of which are legendary in numismatic circles. These coins are more than metal. They're time capsules from a pivotal moment in British history, and each minting mistake tells a story of human error, innovation, and rarity. Yes, I'm talking about the 1971 UK Elizabeth I New Penny coin, the very first year of Britain's decimal coins. But here's the twist: some of these coins were struck with errors so rare that they've become hidden treasures in the world of coin collecting. Imagine a coin once worth just a single penny, now valued at more than a luxury car or even a house. We're about to reveal the secrets, the history, and the unbelievable values. The background. To understand why the 1971 penny is so special, we have to go back to one of the biggest events in British coinage history: decimalisation. Before 1971, the British monetary system was based on pounds, shillings, and pence, an ancient, confusing structure where 12 pence made a shilling and 20 shillings made a pound. So in February 1971, Britain officially went decimal, a modern system where 100 new pence £1. The most valuable errors and varieties: off-center strike errors, £5,000 to £7,000, double struck errors, £15,000 to £20,000. Wrong planchet errors, £10,000 to £50,000. Mule errors, £30,000 to £60,000. Auction sales price and values. Let's talk about some of the amazing finds and jaw-dropping prices that have made headlines. One collector discovered a 1971 one new penny with a misaligned reverse and unusual golden tone, later confirmed as being struck on a foreign planchet. It sold privately for £12,000. Another specimen, a double-struck proof 1p, went under the hammer at a London auction for £28,000. But the most extraordinary case, a verified 1971 one new penny mule error, with mismatched dies, authenticated by experts, is rumored to have changed hands privately for over £40,000, and experts believe that if another surfaced in perfect condition, it could reach £50,000 to £1 million. How to identify a 1971 error one new penny? Here's how you can tell if your coin might be one of the valuable ones. Check the weight. A regular 1p weighs 3.56 grams. If yours is significantly lighter or heavier, it may have been struck on the wrong metal. Blank. Look for off-center designs. Any coin where the Queen's portrait or the portcullis appears shifted or cut off could be an error. Examine for doubling. If the words new penny, the date, or the Queen's features appear doubled or blurry, that's a sign of a double strike. Check the color. A 1971 penny should be bronze. If it looks silver, brass, or pale, it could have been struck on a foreign planchet. Flip the coin. Hold the coin upright and flip it vertically. The obverse and reverse should align perfectly. If they don't, it might be a mule error. If you find anything unusual, don't clean it. Cleaning destroys its value. Instead, store it safely and get it authenticated by NGC, PCGS, or the Royal Mint Museum. One of the rarest and most valuable modern British coins ever made, the 1971 UK Elizabeth V new pence coin. A small mistake by the Royal Mint during Britain's biggest currency change in history turned a handful of these coins into numismatic treasures worth a fortune, so make sure you watch until the very end, because I'm about to reveal how to spot this incredibly rare 1971 era coin, why it's so valuable, and how one could still be sitting in your pocket change right now. The background. Let's rewind to 1971, one of the most important years in British currency history, the year of decimalisation. Before 1971, the UK used the old system of pounds, shillings, and pence, 12 pence to a shilling and 20 shillings to a pound. It was confusing, complex, and outdated for a modern economy, so on February 15, 1971, everything changed. Britain officially switched to a decimal system, 100 new pence to a pound. The most valuable errors and varieties. Off-center strikes, £3,000 to £4,000. Double-struck errors, £5,000 to £7,000. Wrong planchet errors, £10,000 to £50,000. Mule errors, £10,000 to £20,000. Record-breaking values. Let's talk about what everyone wants to know: how much are these coins worth? The standard 1971 5 new pence coin is common, worth only a few pounds in uncirculated condition. But error coins, that's where the magic begins. Off-center or double-struck, £500 to £5,000. Wrong planchet, £10,000 to £50,000. Mule error, wrong die pairing, £10,000, £50,000. Yes, you heard that right. Experts believe that a unique, unrecorded 1971 5p mule coin in perfect condition could fetch up to £1 million or more at auction today. That's more than the value of some gold bars, all for a coin you could have once used to buy a chocolate. How to identify a 1971 era 5p coin? Here's what to look for when checking your coin's weight and size. A regular 1971 5p weighs 5.65 grams and has a diameter of 23.59 millimeters. If yours feels lighter, heavier, or slightly off in shape, it might be struck on the wrong planchet design alignment. Hold your coin upright and flip it vertically. If the Queen's head and reverse design aren't perfectly aligned, it's a potential error. Edge and lettering. Check for missing rim detail, double edges, or die cracks. Any strange patterns or gaps around the edge could indicate a minting mistake. Metal color and tone. If your 1971 5p looks golden, grayish, or unusually shiny, it might have been struck on a foreign or experimental blank. Strike detail. If you find anything unusual, don't clean a coin. Cleaning can destroy its value. Instead, have it professionally graded by NGC or PCGS to authenticate.